The AR-15 market is a crowded one, and Diamondback Firearms has their own busy catalog to further saturate it. But with this one, they've done something a little bit special that brings some magic to the AR-15 market. And you should probably take notice. I'm Chris with Jerry'sOutdoorSports.com, and this is the DB-15 Knights Armament collab. If you like content like this, go ahead and like and subscribe. Then head over to Jerry'sOutdoorSports.com for all of your Freedom Seed needs and get entered in our giveaways, like this Stag Pursuit in 308. Also, follow us on X and Facebook for our product launches, industry news, sales events by us, and memes that'll eventually get me banned. Diamondback Arms is a company that I've largely ignored. I remember when they brought out their early compact carry pistols that were met with mixed reviews. And then I went to college and I was just too busy to keep up with anything Diamondback did. I had heard that they'd gotten into the AR-15 business, but I still just paid them no mind. But a company that I do know and pay heed to is Knights Armament. My early exposure with Knights Armament was with the Mark 11 that would go on to be adopted as the M110 by the Army and see widespread use. But once I got out, I knew there was something special about the SR25 platform, so I priced one out to see if I could get one, and then I quickly realized that I will probably never be able to afford a SR25. But thanks to Diamondback Firearms, we can all afford a little bit of that Knights Armament magic. Now, how Diamondback managed to pull off the deal to get Knights Armament barrels, I'll probably never truly know. But I'd like to think that Diamondback managed to get a hold of some compromising footage of the Knights Armament crew partying after SHOT Show in Vegas one year, and a steady stream of cold hammer forged chrome line barrel flows to keep that footage confidential. Now, it's that Knights Armament barrel that makes this DB-15 special. But aside from that mythical barrel, how's the rest of the rifle? Well, I'll start out by saying I was absolutely wrong to ignore Diamondback Arms. The DB-15 on the surface seems like a bog standard AR-15. It comes with a mil-spec trigger group, safety and charging handle, and Diamondback's own flavor of free float handguard. For furniture, you're going to get Magpul stock and pistol grip, which are a couple of their older designs, which I'm actually okay with, as I find some of Magpul's more recent stock designs to be uninspired. The bolt is magnetic particle inspected, which is a quality control measure that I see a lot of Diamondback's peers choose to forgo. The finish is excellent with anodized and phosphated parts that look phenomenal, and the fit is no different. There's no rattle between the upper and lower, and the pins are secure, but you don't have to hammer them out to get it open. The castle nut and the gas key are both perfectly staked, something that I see neglected on similar price point rifles. The Diamondback is easily a build standard that other manufacturers should be looking towards. The charging handle is a mil-spec affair that I'm fine with because we're all going to yank it out and put our preferred charging handle in anyway. And the safety was a normal one-sided safety that was a little bit squishier than I would like, but didn't impede function at all. But the trigger, ugh. The trigger was the tactile equivalent of a trek to Mordor. The pull weight hovered around 6.5 pounds, which I can work with, but the length of that pull was just painful. I haven't worked with a trigger that bad since I had to use a clapped out M16A4 in the basic training in the early aughts. So I changed all those things, but we'll get to those changes that I made later. Let's talk about how it shoots out of the box. The 16-inch 1-in-7 twist Knight's Armament barrel is mated to a mid-length direct impingement system, and it comes with a NATO Birdcage stock up front. Shooting this rifle is what an AR-15 should be. The gassing on the KAC is absolute masterclass. Even with the acute mediocrity of the trigger, Mozambiques, bill drills, and double taps just flowed from this. I never felt myself fighting the rifle at all. I was just living in the moments between the timer beeps. But when I got to the bench for accuracy testing, life with the trigger became untenable for me. I just couldn't squeeze the accuracy that the DB-15 KAC was capable of, even with my admittedly moderate shooting skills. Luckily for me, Trigger Tech sent me some triggers to test out, so I got busy meddling with the DB-15. Aside from the Trigger Tech Duty 3.5 pound trigger that I put in, I also installed a Rise Armament extended charging handle and their ambidextrous safety selector that has, and I quote, a nice 69-degree throw. Nice indeed. I also spun on a Dead Air muzzle brake, not because 5.56 is a punishing round by any means, but because I wanted to install my Lazarus 6 from Dead Air. And, well, a muzzle brake is really nice when you're at the range with people who are overly chatty. Helps them buzz off. Getting a suppressor on here is where this thing absolutely hits its stride. Someone at Diamondback knew that we were going to suppress this, and they want us to. I ran hundreds of rounds through this, and I had absolutely no issues while it was suppressed. And the only issues I did run into were from an older Magpul mag that I think I've had for close to 15 years, but that was it. As the suppressed round counts got higher, I absolutely fell in love with this forend from Diamondback. At first I thought it was a little bit too big and bulky and maybe on the heavy side, but as that barrel got super hot, my hands never got any of it. There's enough airspace in there that it keeps you pretty isolated from that cooking barrel. The people at Diamondback absolutely want this rifle to be ran suppressed. With the Trigger Tech trigger installed, I could finally get some meaningful accuracy work done. I'll admit that the Rise Armament extended charging handle and their nice 69-degree safety selector throw are just quality of life improvements. I think a trigger upgrade is an absolute necessity for this rifle. With Federal Center Strike 77 grain boat tail hollow points, I got groups of about 1.6 average. That surprised me because I have a lot of semi-autos that really like that round. Now with Hornady Match hollow point boat tail 73 grain, I got groups that averaged 1.25 inches. And with Federal loaded 69 grain Sierra Matchkings, it opened up to about 1.3 inches. And for a rifle at this price point, that is beyond respectable. Well, how much does it cost? Well, I can't tell you that because it'll make the YouTube gods cry and pee their pants. But it should take you less than 1,350 keystrokes to figure it out, if you get my meaning. Now I'll never argue that the DB-15 KAC is just as good as an SR-15, mostly because I never have and probably never will get a chance to shoot a Knight's Armament SR-15. They're made in fairly low numbers and most of them are earmarked for end users already. Now, there are people who are so enamored with the Knight's name that they'll go through anything to get an SR-15. But for the rest of us, it's really cool that Diamondback managed to make it so that we can afford just a little bit of that magic. But it does beg the question, when a DB-10 308 with a Rise Armament barrel is coming out. I hope Diamondback's working on that, because I'm not going to stop bothering them until it happens. Anyway, I'm Chris with Jerry's Outdoor Sports, and I'll see you next time.